Hey, this is James, Mr. Tactical himself, and I'm here with Mr. John May from Ed Brown, and we're going to have a really cool discussion with them and learn all about Ed Brown and the different products that they got, the different lineups. And I'm going to ask them the crazy question of why the heck would you take a perfectly good M&P pistol, throw basically everything away, and rebuild it in the Ed Brown image? So let's start with that.
All right. Good evening first, James. Thank you for inviting me over to speak to you. So the answer to that question is simple and complex at the same time. So how it all started, just kind of give you some background on the M&P project, is we were all together in a conference room at headquarters discussing what should we do next. You know, we do that a couple of times a year. And everybody and their brother was building Glocks and SIGs and you name it, customizing them. And I discovered in all of us talking, I guess we all discovered that we're M&P fans. Everyone in the room already owned an M&P and we're big fans of it. I think it has something to do with the grip angle is what I believe was kind of the unanimous deal. Was we're all 1911 guys and it pointed more like a 1911. Than other things.
Yeah, easy transition.
Yep. So we just all kind of dove off into what do you do to an M&P, and you asked how we throw almost a brand new one away. Interestingly enough, that's about what it is. We just basically use the frame again. We replaced almost everything inside of it, including the slide, the barrel, the trigger unit. It's the right way to do it. I mean, that's what a 1911 guy does when he takes an M&P and makes it better. You know, that's honest to God how the accuracy rails began. Was we wanted a better slide frame and barrel fit like you get with a 1911. And how do you do that? Well, you recreate that front rail so you get better lockup and you hand fit it. So it's, I mean, if that's what you've been doing for all this time, for 50 years, that's what you do, right? I mean, you just carry on with that.
Oh, yes, sir. And I think the important question when it comes to that everybody wants to know. So you talked about Gucci Glocks. What is a fueled by Ed Brown called?
Well, we came up with a fueled term. You know, I don't have a Gucci M&P, I don't guess. But we came up with a fueled term because it's more than gunsmithing. You know, it's more than parts exchange. It's kind of a marriage of including parts that are more easily fitted, right? And then fitting the parts that you don't necessarily exchange. I mean, a Glock, for example, almost everything they do to a Glock is about appearance. It's about how cool does it look. And while we make a cool looking gun, almost everything we do is about performance. You know, the slide and the barrel and all the fluting and the cuts and all that, they do look pretty cool and racy and all, you know, tactical, if you will. But
I like that.
Yeah. that's almost pure performance too. If you think about it, the barrel will shoot any standard lead bullet. It's a lot tighter chamber. It'll shoot tighter groups than a factory barrel. You know, the lockup's a lot better because of the combination of our custom slide, custom barrel, and our accuracy rail, all the way down to the machine pins. You know, those roll pins are just awful, you know. I mean,
so let me get this straight. You actually make your own pins to replace the factory ones?
Yes. Yeah. The roll pins are not consistent. If you're going to have a consistent gun, you need consistent pins right down to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow, that's amazing. So knowing that you go through all this effort to even machine your own pins, I get in my mind, you know, that old cartoon where they take a tree and they whittle it down, and then they end up with a toothpick. That's what I imagine. I'm going to say the people at Ed Brown do to make these brand new roll pins that are, I'm going to call them super fitted to the new M&Ps. So let me ask you, since you're doing all this machine work and keeping these ultra tight tolerances, what kind of equipment do you guys have that's required to do that?
Well, all right. So you're getting outside my area of expertise, but I hear that. I'm a shooter, a salesman, and that's my end of it. I look at machines and I go, wow, they cost a lot of money and they make cool parts, right? Really, I think our secret is, Ed started as a tool and die maker.
Okay.
And from the beginning, it was about precision. We have some 5-axis machines back there that cost millions of dollars. When I first went in to talk to Travis about coming on the team, he said something to me. Well, I'll tell you exactly what he said. He said, we make every part in-house except for the grips and the springs. And I chuckled and I said, well, I've never heard that before, because a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, heads up, you're going to have to prove it. So he did. I said, well, you'll need a Swiss screw machine. He said, well, we have 2 of them over there. And we talked about how you do a sear and a hammer. And he goes, nah, there's a better machine to do it on. And that's where my eyes glazed over and I saw a whole lot of stuff. But the reality of life is, Ed decided a long time ago that we had, in order to be vertically integrated and to command our own destiny, we had to be able to make everything in-house. Since he's retired and the boys have taken over, Travis Brown is our CEO. He has made sure that we stay on the very edge of that for pure efficiency, and that we build it better and faster. Fill in the blank there,
Oh, yes, sir. So let me ask you, how long has Ed Brown as a company been around?
The FFL was issued in 1968.
Wow. Do they still have that hanging up somewhere, the original one?
I don't know. I think they make you turn it in when you update it or whatever, change it. The federal government, they don't let you keep that kind of stuff. But
yeah, that would be cool. So let me ask you, on average, do you know how long the employees have worked for the company Ed Brown? Like, what's the average time that the employees have worked there?
I'm probably the newest, and I've been there 5 years.
Okay, so that's not a spring chicken anymore.
No, and I mean, keep in mind, I've been doing this since 2000, maybe 99. So I'm not new to this at all. I just happen to be new to the team. Almost everybody's been there quite so. I couldn't answer that off the top of my head, but we don't have a lot of turnover. Most everybody stays there.
Okay. So do you think
forever, but for as long as they stay, I mean.
Oh, yeah. So do you think having all that experience and those employees that have been there, I'm not going to say from day one, but that have been there for a long time, is what helps the company keep that consistency? And
I'm sure of that. You got to keep in mind that both Travis and Wade have been doing this since they were old enough to walk in the shop. I mean, think about it. The first FFL was in 68. They were only building parts back in those days. That's how it all started. Ed built parts and sold them to Brownells and to gunsmiths. And then when the boys came on, or I guess I shouldn't call them boys, when Wade and Travis joined the team, they got into full guns because they could. And when Ed retired, the rifle program was ended. And Travis is the CEO. He drives us for more perfection every day. They're always finding, this is the thing that amazed me the most, is efficiency is king. We have figured out a way to be efficient at everything we do, from taking the order, processing it, all the way through building the gun and getting it delivered. We strive for efficiency there. Like our website, you got our website. I try to keep the number of clicks down from the time you get on the website to the time you can buy something, because that's kind of the way we work. Is the more efficient you are, the happier your customers will be, the better off everybody is.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to fire you down in the mud there.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, what's the culture like there?
It's like a big family. Thanksgiving, they have a big meal brought in. Everybody brings their favorite dish, and they all kind of eat together and hang out together. The thing that I work remotely, so it's always new to me every time I go up there. I go up about once a month, and every time I visit, it's like a brand new adventure every time. But it sort of looks like you would expect NASA's machine shop to look.
Okay.
Everything is neat, clean. You could eat off the floors. There's no junk on the floors or trash or any of that stuff. Everything is kept perfectly clean. It's pretty remote. Where the office is at is there's not a lot around there. And the nearest hotel, I remember the first time I was headed up there, the review said it's okay, but bring an air mattress. Well, that's not a good sign. So they actually built an apartment for me at the office. So when I go up, I can stay there and I don't have to worry about either driving a couple of hours or staying in a, God only knows what you end up in.
Yes, sir.
It's pretty comfortable. And that's the kind of people they are. That's probably the most remarkable part to me is how much it feels like a family and how much it is a family. Most folks don't realize this, but if you call and you talk to somebody, more than likely it's going to be me. If it's not me, it's somebody with the last name of Brown.
Oh, okay.
That's how we do it.
Cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how we do it.
So you were talking about the website and how easy it is to order, and you wanted to keep the clicks down to be able to get to a customer from point A to point B, to be able to pick their product, be able to get it. How does one go about ordering a pistol from Ed Brown? What's that process like?
There's a couple of ways. There's we excuse me, we put together a standard list, if you will, of kind of the guns with the most sought after features. Special Forces, for example, you can get it with an RMR. There's a model already designated like that, or there's a model that doesn't have an RMR that's iron sights. But probably the most popular way is our custom build page. We have, I don't know, something north of 120 options to choose from. And you can go through and click on the individual options and build a gun exactly like you want it. And at the end, it gives you your estimated price. There's even a help me choose link that shows you the pictures of all the options in that section. So we tried to make it as easy to use as you can. And then ultimately, we'll help you make sure we go over it when you send it in and make sure it's the way what it needs to be. There's no conflicts. And I tell people all the time, I won't let you build an ugly gun. I'll call you up and say, hey, man, you don't want to do, like, for example, the other day I had a guy that wanted to do snakeskin treatment on the front and back of the frame and on the rear cocking serrations, and then he wanted square in the front. No, I'm not going to let him do that because that's going to look weird and he's going to hate it. At the end of the day, we're trying to make him happy, so we want to make it right or correct.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So with COVID going on and the world's been crazy now almost 2 years, how has that affected the business?
It's been as busy as I've ever seen it. I think it's related to COVID. I think people are afraid. People are scared. They don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. And the other part of that is I think people are investing in things that they know and trust. A lot of folks are investing in custom guns. For us, up until recently, we haven't had a lot of direct impact from COVID. We had a few team members that got sick. Thank God they're back and healthy now.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, but our vendor, like, we have very few outside sources. I mean, you got to buy steel, right? Steel deliveries have been horrible, and they all blame it on COVID. Shipping in general is a nightmare, and they all blame it on COVID. We have had some issues with any outside process, heat treat or whatever. They apparently have a lot of exposure to COVID. But internally, we've been fortunate. We haven't had a lot of that.
Well, that's really good to hear. Definitely. So let's get back to the M&Ps again. I know we kind of talked about the history and stuff like that. So I think another question that everybody wants to know. So you basically take all those parts from the factory on those M&P pistols, and I'm not going to say throw them away, but you chuck them essentially. What do you do with all those parts, those factory parts?
We actually have a couple of OEM, a couple of different OEM parts available on the website. I think we're probably the sole source for OEM slides and barrels. And they're new. We just took them off the gun. They're brand new.
Okay. Yeah.
Sell a lot of them, but I don't know where else you'd get them. You can't buy them from Smith. I don't know anywhere you can find them. And I know a lot of people that are customizing slides now are always looking for them. I was talking to a guy the other day by accident. They actually machine M&P slides, and he called me to offer me the service. And I said, friend, we can machine our own slides, and we actually do make one from scratch.
Yeah.
And when I researched his name and company information, he had been buying OEM slides from us pretty regular. And I said, maybe we can talk about it. If you want to buy a bulk number here, let's talk. But I don't know if he will or not. But we sell a lot of that stuff. I guess folks use them for caliber conversions. They get a 40 caliber M&P, and they don't want a 40 anymore, so they do that. And I think some folks buy it to try their hand at machining custom slides.
That actually would be a cool thing to do. It almost makes me want to get into the 80% M&P game, then we could get people to, have some factory frames there.
That's the scary part, is there is no factory frame other than a complete factory gun. I actually have talked to Smith & Wesson about that. I actually at length, I talked to their CEO a couple of years ago, and I said, so what would it take for me to buy just frames? And he kind of chuckled, and he said, we don't sell just frames to anybody. Okay.
Yeah. That's not cool. So, those parts right there, are they available on the website for anybody to go ahead and buy if they need to refurbish something like that?
And we also offer a rebuild kit when Smith will deliver the small parts. So all that stuff that goes in your slide.
So if somebody were to look up and let's talk about the M&P side of things, and they want fueled by gun, how long from hitting submit? I like this, and I'm going to call it a pretty gun, complete, everything will match and work together. When I hit submit, how long does it take to get to my dealer?
As of today, about 90 days.
Okay. It really isn't. How long does it take for the 1911s? Just curious.
About 9 months.
Okay. So comparatively, what's the business percentage M&P versus 1911?
I'm going to say probably 15%, give or take.
Okay.
You got to keep in mind, we've been building 1911s for 50 years.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Definitely for sure.
And we were talking the other day, we had a remarkable year, the growth we've seen in the M&P project for us. And a good portion of this year, we couldn't even get an M&P.
Yes.
You own a gun shop. It became impossible to get M&Ps.
I was going to say we absolutely couldn't get them.
Now I'm buying them 100 at a time. But then I was lucky if I'd get 3 or 4 at a time. And that was drastic hurt for our business. The good news is I'd bought a couple of hundred to going into all that nightmare. So we had some to work ahead on.
Okay.
I try to keep a pretty inventory. That's something I really like about our company is we try to stay ahead of everything. When possible, we have more than we could need. Like I've got plenty of RMRs to cover the orders for the foreseeable future. I've got plenty of M&Ps at the moment. The family believes in investing in what we do. We're not going to suddenly, buy another business. We're in the gun business. So that's what we're going to invest in is inventory for that.
Well, unfortunately, in this day and age, all it's going to take is one incident, and we're going to be, back to square one where nothing is available again. I know, Kurt, I don't know, like you said, you were able to get a couple hundred guns, but and it's even for us as just a normal gun store, we're able to get product and now some product, but like all it's going to take is one incident and we're back to square one. So that's a good idea about investing in the future to cover you for those times, those lean times.
That's part of being vertically integrated is, if you're going to control your destiny, you better have the inventory to do it.
Yes, sir.
What scares me now is ammo. If they keep jacking around with our ammo supply, you know, we can have all the guns we want. If we don't have ammo to go with the guns, people will slow down buying them.
Oh, yeah. So let me ask you, if I've got just a standard M&P, is there a service that I could send my pistol to Ed Brown to get all those upgrades, or?
Not yet. And I'll tell you why in a nutshell. There are so many variations that Smith has done on the M&Ps that if you send it to me, it would be pot luck if all the parts would work. We have designed, and there's dramatic changes from the 1.0 to the 2.0, and then the custom shotguns are a little different. The 5-inch guns are a little different. Everything's a little different. That's why we buy we have a particular SKU that we buy to build off of, and that's why we do it, because they're the same every time. We know that every part we've designed and engineered will work with that gun. I run into something new all the time. And listen, we wanted to do that. It's just not practical. Somebody would send us something that we couldn't build to fruition for them, and then they'd just be upset with us.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And with tolerances, even doing the gunsmithing, especially with 1911s, drop-in parts may not be drop-in parts.
That's right.
So that's no matter what you do. I'm going to say Colt's definition of what 1 inch is different from Ed Brown's, is different from Springfield, is different from Wilson Combat even, and it's still an inch or a millimeter or whatever those tolerances are. So
well, in the 1911 world, the drop-in term was originally coined in the 80s, and it was supposed to fit Springfields and Colts. And anybody that knows anything about those two know that they diverged from there, and they went as far to one spectrum from the other that they could. The other day, I discovered something. I've been doing this a long time, as I told you, and I discovered Springfield has an entirely different firing pin design. I don't know how I never saw that, but the guy was asking me which one to replace it with. He sent me a picture of it, and I had to scratch my head because I'd never seen it before. I think they just did something a little different. I think a standard firing pin will work in it, but why they decided to do something different, who knows?
Okay. So what kind of future products can you tell us about, if any?
Well, we've had a sort of a stay on new projects until we get our backlog caught up, because I hate introducing a new product while a customer sitting over there waiting on the gun that he's already ordered.
That makes sense. I like that, in fact.
Yeah. Not only that, but say I come out with a new Evo or whatever, and you just ordered Evo number 4 and Evo number 5 is better. I just create a problem. I'm not going to say we won't introduce a variation on a theme, but I don't think we'll do any just radically new guns until we get caught up on this stuff.
That makes sense.
I don't want to, we did the F4 with the gold barrel when we had a backlog on M&Ps, but really it was just a barrel change. It wasn't anything dramatic. We are going to trim off some models in the next year, simply because demand's just not there for them. It doesn't make any sense to, when you build a gun, fill in the blank here, whatever gun it is, something unique, whatever that unique model requires, that means you have to stock that inventory forever. That means you have to plan for it. Even if you don't sell any of them, you have to have some readily available. And we've been trying to I told you, efficiency's king. We've been trying to take down some of that stuff that we just, like officer's model. Oddly enough, we get virtually no demand for an officer's model gun.
But you still have to have the parts there for past guns.
Yep. Forever.
Okay.
At the moment, we don't even have, we're out of officer's models magazines because my metal stamper won't stamp they stamp every other size magazine, but I can't get them to run the officer's mags. Don't ask me why. I don't understand it. Something about tooling and efficiency. I was screaming at them this morning about that. Anyway, there's virtually no demand for them either. I mean, comparatively, when you compare the officer's mag to say any of the 847, the 7-round full size mag, there's no comparison. So it's kind of crazy when you get over to like slides and frames and stuff to have all these different variations that you may never use, or you may use one of them, you know, it's crazy.
So speaking of
I
those
know
magazines,
people are probably yawning now because of that, you know, but.
oh yeah, but you know, I mean, it's an insight to the company, you know, it really is.
Yeah.
But speaking about those magazines, so I heard you guys are doing a mag exchange program.
That's right.
Tell me about that. Why would you do that?
All right. So this idea came out of I think it was over dinner one night. I've always believed that the best way to show people that something's better is to get it in their hand. And we kicked around how we would do that with magazines, because while we weren't the new kids on the block, we were new to having our own magazine. Ed Brown had been using various magazines over the years. That was one of the projects when I came on. I was like, listen, we need to brand a magazine. We need a magazine that we know works with our guns and work with other guns, and we need to market it correctly and get out there. There's just too much opportunity to support our customers with a quality magazine. So it was a long process. We did it. We brought it out. And we were talking about marketing it. I'm going to credit Travis, my CEO, for this. We were talking about how do you make sure people get the chance to try it? Well, you make it stupid cheap.
Okay.
And we come up with a mag exchange. They send their mag in for $10. They get a new mag. It has been a tremendous success. The other thing that it's done for us is we get all of the competitors' mags to look at to see if somebody's got a good idea or if they're complete junk. You know, it gives us a good constant look in magazines. And here's what I find remarkable. People will send us brand new magazines from fill in the blank here. You name the maker, we've seen brand new ones look like they were just taken out of the package and thrown in a box and shipped to us.
Okay.
And so we get to see the latest stuff, you know, and then it all gets scrapped into the metal recycling dumpster, because what else are you gonna do with it?
Oh, you gotta weld them together in a big old and make a huge 1911 mailbox in the front of the shop of other 1911 magazines of the,
I guess,
eating the competition.
I had an ad one time. I'll have to find it and send you a copy of it. It was a big pile of magazines that came in over a week, you know?
Yeah.
They shot this big mammoth pile of magazines. It's really crazy. It's so bad sometimes that the post office will not deliver them. We have to go down to the post office and pick them up, and they get all angry and temperamental about that. It's really a great program, and we get complimented on it a lot. What amazes me is people are always saying, well, I didn't know about that program. Well, I don't know how to tell you any better than the way we tell you. Out everywhere. We try to get it advertised everywhere and tell them, hey, it's available, use it.
I could see the ad now. Just put a pile of magazines and get somebody swimming in it, and you could and the byline is swimming in the competition, something like idea. That. You know, heard it here first. But
it's been tremendous. And you know, I'll get 3 or 4 emails a week going, is it still available? Yeah, it's still available. We're not going to stop it because it's a good program, you know. Yeah, we don't make any money on the magazines, but it ain't all about making money. And it will build a following for the magazines, and has.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I've never seen a guy yet that didn't buy or didn't do the mag exchange that didn't later come back to buy magazines.
In fact, here in the shop, you know, when we sell a bunch of pistols, somebody will say, oh, I got some magazines at home, you know, I got enough of them. And 2 weeks later, when they come back in and they've had issues with them, you know, hey, my 1911 won't feed. Number one thing to do is say, you know, well, magazine. That's the heart of the platform, essentially, especially with the 1911. you know, it's the heart of that platform. And if you don't have a good magazine to get that round where it needs to be, it's never going to feed. So, I mean, you guys are doing, I hate to say the Lord's work right there, getting good magazines into everybody's hands for sure. But,
I'll tell you a true story. I had a fella call me many years ago. His expensive 1911 wasn't running. And I said, so what's the problem? And he said, well, it won't do this. You know, it wouldn't feed the top round. And I said, well, okay, so tell me about the magazine. And he said, well, it's a black one. And I said, black one? You mean it's oxided? And he's like, no, it's blued. So what's the base pad look like? And he goes, no, it's a welded base pad. Well, at the time, the company I work for, we didn't sell a welded base pad. And I said, hey, that gun came with magazines. You're not using them, are you? He goes, no, those are expensive. I'm using these. I bought at a gun show. I said, well, there you go, friend. Use the ones that came with the gun. So, hey, we get it. We get people that tell us, hey, I'm using this. And I tell them all the time, no, man, use the ones that came with the gun because, we designed those and selected those because they work with those guns. Use them.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got a different, some of the popular brands feed too high. I know personally that there are some out there that crash into the ejectors and, you know,
I've had that.
Yeah. It won't happen right away, but eventually it gets really bad. And all of a sudden you got a bent ejector and your gun won't function. You don't know why. It's because the magazine crashes in the ejector. And people don't realize how global the magazine is. Yes, it's the heart of your gun, but it also can affect a whole lot of other stuff, you know?
Well, it goes back to the tolerances. What one company's definition or a millimeter or 10,000ths of an inch is different from another company's, and the technology they have to keep those tolerances versus not. Same thing in magazines too. You get what you get, you know, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Well, that's exactly.
But yeah. Well, Mr. May, I know we've kind of been talking on and on and on. Is there anything that you want to let us know about, or just how do you want to end this? What would you like to say?
I want people to discover or check out the whole Fueled series project. We're known for 1911s. We've been doing it for 50 years. We're going to impact the MPs just like we did 1911s. Now's a good time to get on board with that, because from here, it just grows more. You know, I don't see how people can't see. Well, I guess they do. We're selling a ton of them, but the tremendous value in what our fueled pistols, what you get for the money, it's pretty tremendous. That all of the re-engineering and all of those parts that go into that. And then you asked about having work done. We offer all of the parts with the exception of the accuracy rail. And for obvious reasons, we don't, that needs to be a hand fitted part and it's complicated. So we don't sell that. Everything else is available for sale. So you can build a performance at home performance M&P with using our parts. Or you can buy a complete gun. It's entirely up to you. But
yes, sir.
That's kind of in a nutshell where we're going. Is we want to do something. We want to have a significant impact on a different platform. I think we know our way around a 1911. I know we know our way around an M&P now, and we get a little better every day. Probably every quarter we talk about things that we want to do to step up another level. We've improved some of the parts already. We've made new parts. The extended plunger block, we didn't start out with that. That we did because we found out people out there in the real world were having trouble with aftermarket triggers and light primer strikes. And the solution for that was the extended striker plunger. And we created it. We'll do that more, I'm sure, as we go on. We'll find out something else that needs to be updated or changed or improved or.
Yeah. Well, I guess my closing thoughts on this is, I got the opportunity to shoot the very one of the first versions of the Fueled by series, and then the fourth version now. And you hear online all the time that, oh, I could build it cheaper and, faster and everything. And it's like, hey guys, I don't know if you remember in the first video review I did, I took a regular M&P and I shook it and then I threw it in the mud over my head a couple feet. And the funny thing is my wife didn't know I was going to do that the first time. And she's like, what did you do that for? And I was like, well, I got to throw it away. It's no good, And then to show the new one, it's just the way I look at it. When you feel the craftsmanship of and I'm not blowing smoke up your backside. They're two different animals. They really are. It's the equivalent of buying a Ford Escort and then you get into a Cobra. They're both Ford cars, but it's different. It's not going to be for everybody, but I don't think it's intended to be for everybody. Just like you said, you offer some of the parts and people can get what would you say, 75% of the way there?
Yeah.
But if you want that extra little bit, if your life is worth it that much, if the competition, if you're a competitive shooter, if you want that little bit of edge, if you CCW and you want that edge, a Cobra is what you need,
Well, a good friend of mine told me when he shot the first one, I took one of the earliest ones up, let him shoot it. And this is what he said. He got done shooting and he kind of had that strange look on his face and he kind of looks around, grins at me. And he says, well, you just pissed me off. And I said, why is that? He said, I had all these same parts and mine's not that good.
Yeah.
And, that trigger in that accuracy rail is unbelievable. The difference between just building yours with that same sort of unit and then seeing it in our accuracy rail and how those fitted pins and all that stuff works together to make a consistent trigger. It's just off the hook. Well, you shot it, I mean, the difference in the trigger is pretty incredible, really, when you think about it.
It is. And it's hard to describe unless you've actually shot one. Is that when you look at the trigger slop in a factory M&P, there's some factory guns that you can move the trigger back and forth and you see the slide moving up and down from the pressure because of that. I'm not going to say it's a poor fit. It's a factory fit. And you don't have that in the Ed Brown. That alone, just that little, you getting rid of that movement in the slide, the tolerance stacking, everything goes up. It's garbage in, garbage out. If you got good in, you're going to have great out, for sure. So, I mean,
well, they designed that. As a matter of fact, I spoke to a retired Smith & Wesson engineer the other day, and he told me that they designed that gun to be able to take parts out of a box and build it.
Yeah.
And he said they prided themselves on that. No fitting was required. They're built just, pick apart and go together. Everything was completely interchangeable. And I pride myself on that. Ours are not.
I like that. That right there is excellent. And I think with that sentiment to do that, man, that it was great talking to you, Mr. May.
I enjoyed it.
I'm glad I could learn more about Ed Brown and their pistols. And I'm going to go take the fueled out and go run some more rounds through it.
All right. Hey, let's do it again. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You have a good afternoon.
Uh-huh.